Hi, this is Jason Fielder with the Daily Forex Report for October 5th. We're currently looking at the U.S. Japanese yen pair. This particular pair closed up today. It did gap down yesterday, filled that gap, and closed up. We are looking for this pair to continue moving sideways with a bias that is sideways. Look for it to potentially move as high as 90.48. Possibly as low as 88.70. Look for some resistance around 90.00 and look for some support around 89.33. Now, switching over to the Euro USD pair, this particular pair gapped up, has not quite retraced that as of yet. We still have 10 pips worth of room to go. Thought it would fill last night, but it hasn't. Hopefully we'll see it pull back down today during this next session. This pair is moving sideways with the bias that is sideways. Look for it to potentially go as high as 147.49, possibly as low as 145.08. Look for some resistance around 146.70 and look for some support around 145.44. Now, switching to the pound US dollar pair, this pair closed down today. It did have a rather large run up compared to the run down. It is moving sideways with a bias that is sideways. Definitely look for this pair. This pair is definitely consolidating down. If you notice the trend here, we are definitely getting a movement to the downside. Definitely keep an eye on this pair. Now, we are looking for it to continue moving sideways with the biases sideways. Look for it to potentially go as high as 161.22, possibly as low as 157.94. Look for some resistance around 160.28 and look for some support around 158.25 in this pair. Now, switching over to the US Swiss, this pair gapped down. It did fill its gap before pulling down and closing lower. We are looking for this pair to continue moving sideways with a bias that is sideways. Look for it to potentially move as high as 1.0420. Look for it to potentially move as low as 1.0243. Look for some resistance around 10357 and look for some support around 10282 in this pair. Now, as far as news announcements goes, we have the Australian Reserve Bank releasing their rate decision at 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time tonight. Consensus is they're going to hold rates at 3%, so definitely keep an eye on that. We also have the pound releasing their industrial production for August at 4:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Consensus is that things have decreased from 0.5% down to 0.1%, which of course would be negative news for the British pound. Now, we also have the pound releasing their gross domestic product estimates for September, and that's going to be at 7:01 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. No consensus on this one. The previous was 0.2%. Now, what am I looking at during this next session? Well, we have a little setup here to grab a few pips in the U.S. Japanese yen pair. We have a nice little swing trade that has developed swing trade setup. So we could get a break there. Interestingly enough, we have this session's high as pretty much a mark for it. If you notice, we have, if we hit it here, we have this potential. That's a little 4 pip that we could hit. But really what I'm looking for it to do is to come up here to this point where we have some previous resistance, 20 pips worth. We could also hit here, which would be a little bit higher, which would tag this support, this resistance, and I definitely could see that happening, and that would be a little bit higher of, looking at about 19 pips there. Here we're looking at about 49 to 50 pips move on that one. So definitely keep an eye on this little trade. You can either look for it to scalp or you can look to go to break even 20 pips up and look for it to move a little bit higher as it moves that direction, if it moves that direction. Well, that about does it for today. Until next time, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.